Here, look, Minister, you're welcome. I want to begin by welcoming the people tuning in this morning from all of the counties affected: Limerick, Clare, Mayo, Donegal, Sligo and others. I think we can all agree they've run an immense campaign for quite some time now. I know that people in Limerick were pleased that you've included them in the scheme, Minister, but I have to say the people I spoke to last week were completely unimpressed and deeply distressed with the lack of engagement in terms of amendments to the bill last week. The people at the heart of this campaign, Minister, have their homes literally crumbling down around them, and you know this. Everybody knows the awful situation which families in homes with defective blocks are living with. They fear their house will fall down around them as their children sleep at night. Minister, you said in your opening remarks at second stage in the Dáil about the campaigners that, and I quote, "They took their message directly to the government through all routes available. We have listened and heard it loud and clear." Which begs the question, Minister, if you've truly listened to the families at the heart of this crisis, why were so many of them in tears on Wednesday night as they left the Dáil chamber? And indeed, we got an email in this morning, and I'll quote directly from it, from one of the people in the chamber. "I sat distraught in the gallery of the Dáil when the so-called enhanced defective block bill was voted on Wednesday evening, as my future was decided. I watched grown men and campaigners crying on their knees after hearing the result, an image I will never forget as they realised they will not be able to keep their families safe. It felt like a death had already taken place, and we were grieving." You see, the voice that we haven't heard so far in this debate is the voice of the homeowners. And that's why I want to put into the record what they've said about this bill. And I'm quoting directly from them. This is their voices. They say it's imperative that the voice of homeowners, the victims of defective materials, is heard, and in particular that government politicians listen before it is too late. Listen because to date you have not listened. We are angry, frustrated, and the endless torture will not be tolerated to go on a minute further. I have a second quote. "Last week, we were due to see a workable scheme that would enable the thousands of homeowners across 13 counties to move forward with their lives. Instead, what was delivered over 60 pages was contempt for us homeowners. In the same week, the Housing Committee heard quarries are still producing defective materials. How can we be expected to trust a system which is not fit for purpose, failing its responsibility to protect victims, citizens and taxpayers? Threats of fines and imprisonment for innocent homeowners. Minister nowhere mentioned were the equivalent fines or threats of imprisonment for the true perpetrators in this, the producers of these defective blocks, including giants of the Irish construction industry." Again, let me stress, not my words, the words of the homeowners who unfortunately were ignored last week. A further quote. "To date, this government has broken all parliamentary process when trying to rush this scheme through the statutory legislative stages. You've given us no time to review the bill, no time to debate the bill, no time to even communicate and discuss the consequences of the long-term aspects of the bill to the thousands of homeowners whose lives will be destroyed by not only defective blocks, but your failure to provide true redress for the problem." And they conclude, "Minister, let us be very clear so our words are not misunderstood. If this bill is not amended, we, the homeowners, will not support it. We will continue our campaign and protests until it is amended, until it is fit for purpose, fit for the citizens of this country who need to avail of it to fix their homes. It's not just our houses that this is destroying, but our daily lives, our working lives, our family lives, our physical and mental well-being, the very fabric of our communities." That's the judgment that was passed on your response to the bill last Wednesday, specifically your refusal to take on amendments. Even your own government TD from Donegal, Joe McHugh, voted against the bill because he knows it's not right. During committee stage in the Dáil, the government refused to accept amendments that would make a real difference to the scheme and make it workable. For example, in relation to the earlier SCSI updating of costing, Senator Cummins has mentioned this morning. He's called out the fact that we have inflation. And you're right, Senator Cummins. So the good news is you'll have an amendment to vote on in that regard. But here's the problem, and we've seen this all too often in this political field. And I went through with care the contributions at second stage in the Dáil, and I saw government TDs talking about all the things that needed to be done to improve the bill. But when it came to voting, having acknowledged the bill wasn't where it needed to be, each and every one of them, with the exception of Joe McHugh, went into the voting lobby to support the bill. Is it no wonder that people were disgusted and crying and deeply upset? Indeed, a colleague of mine from County Clare was there with colleagues from County Clare, not of our party, and one of them swore. She said, "I know this man won't let me down." But he did. He didn't even give eye contact up to the chamber, and he voted in the lobby to reject amendments that he promised that they would support. That's the reality. And some of these amendments were very simple. I mean, the idea that foundations are excluded, let's be clear about that. What that means is when this bill is launched, if an engineer comes to a house, he won't be able to check the foundations, not until such time as the foundations are actually included in the scheme. And we know that that's months away, perhaps a year away. That's the reality at the moment. These were sensible amendments that could have and should have been listened to. But they weren't. And as I said, let me stress again, the words that I've quoted are not my words, the words of the homeowners, many of whom said to me over the weekend they actually couldn't face coming back down here again this morning, having been let down so badly by their own local politicians. And let me speak again in terms of Limerick. We don't even know the true number in Limerick. We think it might be around 750 houses. It's hugely significant. And yes, it's good that we're included in the scheme, but it's entirely unacceptable that key issues like penalties for downsizing, like the exclusion of foundations, like the SCSI costings, which under your bill, Minister, we'll have to wait 12 months to actually see any change to. These are fundamental issues that have to be grasped. And Minister, this is your last chance. This is the opportunity. I have to be frank, I don't believe you'll accept a single amendment, Minister. But I hope that you will at last listen, because what is clear from the statement from homeowners is you have not listened to date, you have not taken heed of their concerns, and people feel betrayed. That is the truth of the matter. They feel betrayed, and they are watching this debate this morning. They'll be watching committee stage. Again, I want to put on record my deep disappointment that we don't have enough time to debate these amendments. I will acknowledge that the leader gave us an extra 2 hours, and I welcome that. But in terms of the complexities of this bill, to rush it through in the way it has is hugely disrespectful, not just to us in the opposition benches, but to everyone in this chamber. Minister, you can and must do better.